Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to another singles ink profile. Today we're doing purple. We're doing Rohrer&Klingner Cassia, one of my very favorite inks for quite some time now. I even have a whole bottle of it. So let's get it into the bath test. We'll do that while we're talking. We'll let it do its thing. There we go. All right, and push that aside, and we'll jump right into my Rhodia Gold book. I'm still finishing the very last pages of this ink journal. It's getting heavy. I should have weighed it. Okay, so here we are. Here it is on the little Tomoe River piece right there. And it didn't do anything real spectacular on that particular swatch, but we've got one coming up that's going to be really intense and interesting. So here it is in the broad nib, and then in the middle, the rest of this actually is written with the Lamy Fine nib, because I kind of ran out of room before I had the idea to test the stub. But I have some other Rhodia paper where I've written with the stub as well. So I found it's available a lot of places, but it does tend to sell out off and on. So I found it at Goulet Pens, $1.25 for a 2 ml sample. $11.95 for the bottle, and then Jet Pens, $12 for the 50 ml bottle. So that puts the ink right around 24 cents a milliliter. Very good deal. Venice 1938 has a 4 ml sample, but right now that's out of stock. But you could, if you like ordering from them, you can just put in, I think. And then I know Anderson used to have it, so I can't remember whether I couldn't, maybe the availability wasn't there or something, but check your favorite retailer, and it's pretty widely available. This is what the bottle looks like. This is made in Germany, and it's a 50 ml bottle, a glass bottle. So that's what that looks like. So I can't always show you that, but there it is. So I fiddled around a little bit with dry times, and it really did seem to dry quickly. When I got it into the stub, it was a little longer, because the I was using a Retro 51, and I'll show you some writing samples with that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to flip back to, I just recently did Waterman Tender Purple. Now, Waterman Tender Purple has a lot in common with Rohrer&Klingner Cassia, but it seems to me, in most of the samples that I'm looking at, it's brighter somehow, and a little bit more less dark purple, but just a little, not much. So, but if you wanted to go either way, lighter, I'd recommend the Waterman. You're looking at the same price, basically. The 50 ml for right around $12 or $11 if you get lucky and have free shipping or something. And then, so it's darker coming out of the nibs, the Cassia is, but not by a whole lot. But that could influence you if you like a darker presentation. So okay, let's hop right into the notebooks. We've got several. We've got this little Moraman spiral notebook from Daisico. Okay, and I was a little crowded on this tiny little page, so I've got it in the broad nib up here, and we did get slight edging, and just slight on this one. It's the next notebook I want you to look at real closely. And here's the fine nib. And then I just squeezed in some writing with the stub down at the bottom. It did really spectacular in a 1.1 stub. That was the Retro 51. Okay, so let's get into this next notebook, which it just did some spectacular stuff. This is the CVS Caliber 4x6 memo pad. I put this on my Instagram, the image of this, how it did a halo, a green, I call it edging, but I think a lot of people call it haloing effect, where, you know, it was painted on. I didn't see that coming out of the nib. That was what made me put it in the stub nib, though. I was wondering if I was going to get that. But here it is in the broad nib, the Lamy Fine nib, and then the 1.1 stub. And that pen, I have reviewed it on this channel. It is the Retro 51 Tornado with a nice little 1.1 stub. So you'll see that coming up. Wherever I had space, I wrote with that too. So, okay. But that was the most spectacular part of it, was, wow. It just did amazing things. Okay, and then I hopped into the pocket size Leuchtturm 1917 to take a look at whether I could work with that. And here it is in the broad nib, the Lamy Fine nib, and the stub. You could see over here that was Noodler's Liberty's Elysium that bled through quite a bit. So I just skipped that page. All right, let's turn that over. Just a little bit of bleed through with the stub, but that's pretty good. And then where it was painted on, it tried to too. It seeped through, but not bad really overall. Okay. And then we get into Live Notes by Pen Gallery. This is 68 GSM Tomoe River paper in a little booklet insert style. And here we have it right here. Broad nib, the Lamy Fine nib, and then that stub nib down at the bottom. I still didn't notice like that I had to be too worried about drying even with the stub, but I'm still at the drawing board on what I want to show or how I want to talk about drying, because it's so humid here and our weather's weird and we're running air conditioners and fans. So, but I'll get there. I mean, a lot of other things I've been able to evolve. So, okay, I'm going to keep this handy and we'll hop right on to 52 gram Tomoe River paper, my personal favorite for letter writing. And we did get just a little bit of haloing and edging there, not much. You can't see it too well. Okay, but here it is, a broad nib, fine nib, and stub on this paper. I don't see a lot of shading. Not on this paper. I started to see some on Clairefontaine, but that's next. But there's a little variation here and there, but I wouldn't tout it as a shading ink. Okay, let's turn that over. No bleed through except for where it's painted on. I don't remember whether we looked back in this one, did we? Yeah, it bled through there too, a little bit. Not as much as it did on the 52. But nothing with the writing, just with the painted on swatch. Okay, so let's see if we can't hold that up there for you. It's hard to do, but I thought it looked excellent on both Tomoe River papers. So that's all up to your preference in paper, but I thought it still looks nice and purpley. Very good. So let's get on to Clairefontaine 90 gram French ruled paper. On the Clairefontaine, that's where I started to see, you know, a little more shading. Just a little more. It's very subtle. We don't get a whole lot of spectacularness over here on the painted part, but that doesn't really matter. Here we are in the broad nib, the fine nib, and the stub. I see a little subtle shading throughout, especially in the hashtags, and the tops of some of the letters look lighter. So I do like to see that variation. No bleed through whatsoever, but I would call this a very good paper for this. And also I wrote a pen pal letter on some real heavyweight laser paper by Hewlett-Packard. Let me check and see what that is. Okay, according to my notes, that was Hewlett-Packard Laser Premium 32, which is a very heavyweight laser paper that's very compatible with Clairefontaine, and it did really good on there too. My pen friend will be getting a letter with 3 different nibs in purple. So, and anyway, that's just a side note there. Okay, here is Rhodia 80 gram dot pad, and just had to switch in outdoor lighting, which I can't control. Broad nib, fine nib, and the 1.1 stub. Now, on the Rhodia, I still see very subtle shading, much less really than on the Clairefontaine to my eye, and it's very hard to capture on camera, but it's there. But mostly, I love this for its intense color. It's purple. It flows like a dream. It has made my Conklin Durograph nib usable, so that's saying something, because from the starting point. Okay, this is Georgia Pacific 20-pound copy paper. and it's cheapy paper, and we get feathering. We get feathering especially in the broad and the stub, but still you could use it, and then you do better with a fine nib. However, lots of bleed through, especially wherever it's dotted in every nib, even the fine nib. So it's a little annoying, but if you're using just one side and then you'd be okay. And of course, painted on, it's going to go through. It's pretty consistently goes through this paper. So, okay, now let's check in on our experiment here. Aha, it's pretty well gone. You can't read it anymore, so it's very typical fountain pen ink, but we'll let it continue on its journey there, and we'll get out the comparison panel. It's always fun for me to compare purple inks. I'd like to be able to have you see everything, and it's going to be tight. Thought I'd gotten that right. Okay, well, I think we can see everything. Let's try. Okay, right in the middle is Rohrer&Klingnerinks, our ink of the day. And then we've got some that we're pretty familiar with. Like right to the right of it is the Tasha Murasaki. And you notice how that varies a lot. That doesn't quite look the same shade of purple, does it? And then right up above it is the Waterman Tender Purple. And that is close, but still, it's lighter. I think you can even see that with all this camera gizmo going on here. Lots of familiars on this panel too, like up here in the right hand corner is Bay State Noodler's Concord Grape, which is very different because it doesn't move around a lot. It's it looks to me like an ink that would be staining, so, but it's an intense purple, all right. And then another one that people are voting on. Voting is going on as I filmed this. This is July 15, 2019. And Robert Auster Deep Purple's gotten some votes in our Viewer's Choice voting. So we may be looking at that one. That's a much darker, deeper. It almost looks black on the camera, but it's definitely a dark purple. And then we've got an old standby here. I'm using up a small bottle of this down in the right-hand corner, Diamine Imperial Purple, which is also very pretty, but it's closer to Murasaki in color. And then this is one of my new favorites, the Diamine Amazing Amethyst. It's really pretty, and it's unique from just about every other purple I have. It's got the complexity and everything. And then I did pull out Monteverde Sapphire over here to the bottom left because I thought that looked a lot like it, and yet it's still not the same. It's got a uniqueness too. I think you can probably see that this veers, maybe they put a little more blue in it. Oh, I didn't even pause at the chromatography, did I? Let me pull that back out because I think that's important. I did it twice because I was trying to figure things out. Oh dear, with all this. Yeah, so the chromatography down at the bottom, I didn't really pause for it. This was the way I'm doing them now with a straight line. I do a straight line, but I also came back and did the dot one, and I found that with the dot, oh goodness, I got that blue. I don't know if can you see that? Just barely. So there is some blue in this, but it doesn't come out to play really. So let's see, we'll put this back where it goes. Oh dear. Okay, so that was a side tangent. Any that I haven't talked about? Well, there's Montegrappa Violet. It was reminiscent. It reminded me, but there were so many purples that I have a pile over here to the side. So we're going to do that little thing where I lay some more on. Okay, so let's cover Noodler's Bay State with Birmingham Andy Warhol Pop Art Purple. It's a different purple, as you can see, but it's purple. And okay, what's next? Oh, Monteverde Purple Rain just doesn't really compare. It didn't make the panel, but I wanted to have it available because we're familiar with this, some of us. And this is, just an intense purple that kind of, it doesn't go all the way maybe to magenta, but it's definitely out of that purple crayon box kind of color, if that makes sense. And then here's another one, Diatramentus Aubergine, which, it's darker and kind kind of fits in more with these, but not quite. So I wanted to pull that out. Don't know where to put it. I just wanted you to be able to see that it's a long way. Rohrer&Klinner-Cassia is a long way from Diatramenis aubergine. And then Purple Mountain Majesties. This is Noodler's Purple Mountain Majesties. This ink makes this one look burgundy-ish. I mean, you know, and I guess it is, but very interesting how all these play together, and that's so different. I'm not even going to lay it there. And then, I don't know why I pulled out Monteverde Rose Noir, because that's so far away. Okay, but this made sense. We're a lot of us familiar with J. Arbonne Amethyst de Laurel. Well, that's just much darker. You see how it wants to fit in maybe a little bit better down here with these darker ones, but it's a shimmer ink, and it's just a deeper purple. So underneath here we still have that, the Robert Auster deep purple that we may be profiling soon. Okay, and then Kaveco Summer Purple. That's also out of that traditional purple family. See, that's making those two look a lot more alike, really. And they are alike. So my recommendation would be, if you want to go just slightly lighter, or Waterman Tender Purple, and then if you like it, just your purple just a little darker, then the Cassia would do it, probably. Okay, that's a lot there to say. And I haven't had breakfast. Okay, let's grab our visual journal, and except for pardon the mess, because I don't know what happened. I guess I had some splattering from Elysium underneath here, but this was fun, and it did react with the water, whoops, quite well. Mercy sakes, I'm talking, not paying attention. Very little blue came out, though, in the edging of the sky there. You can just barely see it. You may not be able to even pick it up. But I did like how the pink came out. That was neat. You got the dark purple, some edging, some wildness going on. Almost looks like a bird there. It's all accidental. And then on this side, I kind of flipped them. Got a little bit of edging and like a halo effect, a little bit of green there. So it was pretty intense, and I really am looking forward. This watercolor paper here is not what Nick Stewart recommends. This is the 140-pound watercolor paper, and this is really good as just a visual journal, kind of a, you know, getting an idea of what these will do. But I'm really looking forward to trying out some thicker paper, some 200 pounds, some, I think he talks about, Bockingford or something, you know, but this is still good for finding out what will happen. Oh, look, there's Diamine Amazing Amethyst. You see how that more blue came out of that? So that helps us compare these two, except that I'm awkward with this whole notebook. I don't even know where we are. Oh my goodness, I lost track. Well, anyway, we just saw the other one, and now I can't find it. Huh. Wasn't that something? Did I skip pages? Huh. Oh, I'm completely lost. I have done something. Oh well. It's Monday morning, folks, and I haven't had my caffeine. But let's flip back so we can actually look at what we're talking about today, which is Rohrer&Klingercassia. I think we know now that Diamine Amazing Amethyst has a lot more blue in it, and that may be why it changes that tone. So it's fun. I could talk about this stuff all day, but I'm not going to keep you. I'm going to go and eat breakfast so that I could tally some more votes, and I really appreciate your votes. Thank you, everybody who has taken the time to watch that video and see those 100+ ink samples that are up for choosing there. We can make more than one viewer's choice, and we can make a whole month. That was my husband's suggestion. He said, you need to do a month, and he's right. So that's in the works. But thank you for voting, because that really helps me. And we'll be creating some series. And I will see you on the next video. Drop in the comments, what do you think of Rohrer&Klingner Cassia? And have you had experience with the brand overall? I have used several other samples. This is my only bottle of their ink, but I have an extremely favorable impression of the ink, and I like how it flows, and I like how it cleans out of my pens. I also have Rohrer&Klingner Sepia, which I'm not crazy about that color. It's a kind of a dark brown, but it cleans out, and I can use it in my little vintage pen, the only vintage pen that I have other than my uncle's Schaefer there, my great uncle Schaefer. So here we go. I will see you next time. Bye for now.